Before she started on her left-wing grift, Narinder had posted, "Agree, I am happy to start a riot, but then the COVID police will accuse me of murder. India needs to bloody protect our women. Hope they riot till it happens. All I know is your sick Pakistani community seems to have a dirty habit in raping." Lucy Connolly was right. If Narinder Kaur were a white woman posting like that, under Slippery Starmer's regime, she would have ended up in jail. But here's the thing. That is not the type of country any of us should want. Britain's hate-filled left, Slippery Starmer's authoritarian acolytes, are on the hunt. Their target, Lucy Connolly, a grieving political prisoner who stunned the nation with her story of a 380-day imprisonment here on Outspoken on Friday, who they now want to see locked up again simply for speaking her shocking truth.
Do you know Tommy Robinson?
Do you feel like you were Starmer's political prisoner?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you regret pleading guilty?
Yes. It was all by design. My card was marked. It doesn't matter who I had representing me. He knows I'm not a racist.
Now, most patriots were so taken by Lucy's story, and they were shocked by the lengths this government will go to in order to silence dissent. As Tommy Robinson put it, the amount of hate being directed at this young mother as she's reunited with her family is very telling. If you support Lucy Connolly, you're on the right side of history. Don't lower yourselves to the pond life trying to drag her down to their level. But that pond life, can you believe this, included Starmer's own Minister of State for Media, the truly vile character, Chris Bryant, who posted on X in response to Lucy's declaration here on Outspoken that she was Starmer's political prisoner, "This is nonsense. 1, the PM had no involvement at all. 2, she pleaded guilty and lost her appeal. 3, the courts are independent of politics. I grew up in Franco's Spain. I visited Pinochet's Chile and had friends who were tortured by the dictatorship in Argentina. I met Alexei Navalny many times and witnessed the trial. We don't have political prisoners in this country." Oh, really, Chris? Really, Chris Bryant? Well, tell that to the grieving family of Peter Lynch.
How lucky we are to be free, and how terrific that Lucy Connolly is now free as well, as she should always have been. She should never have been put in prison. But for all the celebrations that are rightly taking place for Lucy Connolly, I just want people to remember Peter Lynch. He was put in prison for exactly the same reason she was, and he didn't come out because he hanged himself in October last year. An absolute tragedy, and Peter Lynch's name must not be forgotten. We must keep his experience and what happened to him, the awful way in which he was treated, and his eventual death foremost in our minds when we think about freedom of speech and the right to be free.
Very well put, Ben Habib. Luckily, Chris Bryant was rumbled by a member of the public, Jan, who raged, "You absolute fool. Where were you when Starmer said they'd be fast-tracked through the courts and expected the full force of the law to be brought, or Cooper when she called them criminals before court appearances? Connolly, Peter Lynch and others, while rapists were released." Bryant replied, "Nobody referred to any specific case. To do so would be an abuse of power and contempt of court. Nobody ever mentioned her car. I presume he means case, did they?" Well, actually, Chris Bryant, they did, and I'll get to that in one moment. But Treasury Minister Torsten was another Starmer shill, deliberately being on the wrong side of history when he promoted, "The sentencing guidelines are clear that the category she was deemed to fall within involved inciting violence." And Labour's Catherine Atkinson thought the whole thing was one big joke over on LBC.
My heart goes out to anyone who's lost a child, and I think that the case of Lucy Connolly is desperately sad. But I think to call herself a political prisoner when she just served a prison term for what she admits was not her finest hour is wrong. Around the world, we see political prisoners who are jailed indefinitely for opposing governments. I don't think that Lucy Connolly is some Nelson Mandela.
Anyone who believes Slippery Starmer didn't influence the judiciary is being deliberately dumb. As Paul Cox explained, strictly speaking, the UK Prime Minister does not have direct control over the judiciary. The UK operates under a system known as judicial independence, meaning the judiciary is separate from the executive and the legislature. However, you would have to believe in fairies to believe this speech did not change the direction of day-to-day processes. Within 9 days of this speech, of the 419 arrests, within a month, 369 of them were in prison. This is the speech he was referring to.
Utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this weekend. Be in no doubt, those that have participated in this violence will face the full force of the law. The police will be making arrests, individuals will be held on remand, charges will follow, and convictions will follow. I guarantee you will regret taking part in this disorder, whether directly or those whipping up this action online, and then running away themselves.
And then remember when Starmer was specifically asked about Lucy, both by a journalist in a supermarket and by Rupert Lowe in Parliament.
The principles that I would apply. Firstly, I'm strongly in favour of free speech. We've had free speech in this country for a very, very long time, and we protect it fiercely. I'm equally, though, against incitement to violence against other people. That has long been an offence in our country, and rightly so. And so I say, don't know the details of this case, but free speech, yes. Incitement to violence, no.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Prime Minister agree that imprisoning Lucy Connolly, a young mother with a 12-year-old daughter, for one foolish social media post, soon deleted, is clearly not an efficient or fair use of prison?
Mr. Speaker, sentencing is a matter for our courts. And I celebrate the fact that we have independent courts in this country. I am strongly in favour of free speech. We've had free speech in this country for a very long time, and we protect it fiercely. But I'm equally against incitement to violence against other people. And I will always support the action taken by our police and courts to keep our streets and people safe.
As Rupert Lowe posted after watching Lucy's interview, a shameful response, all cheered on by his Labour drones. But this afternoon, I can tell you the country's hard left is now going one step further and attempting to lock Lucy up again simply for telling her story. Brexit virgin Femi Olawale posted, "Today the UK right wing welcomes home a terrorist with open arms. Tomorrow they'll claim to care about national security to justify targeting black and brown people. Lucy Connolly was one of the instigators of the most widespread terror crises in years, right-wing terrorism." That prompted Lucy to respond like this. Can you believe that more than half of you are watching this video but not subscribed? So please do me a huge favour, click the subscribe button now, turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to all of our brand new Outspoken videos. Doesn't make you a terrorist, does it?
It just means that I want my children and other people's children to grow up in a safe world.
Will you consider legal action against Femi Olawale for describing you as a
Part
terrorist?
of me thinks I've no interest in what that idiot that I blocked about 5 years ago has said about me. I've used a don't align. He's a race baiter. He's an attention seeker. He doesn't know me. He can say what he likes about me. I suppose I would have a case with him. But you know what? I've just spent a year away from my family. The last thing I'm going to do is take any notice of a plonker like him. Yeah.
Now. The Virgin isn't taking Lucy's takedown well.
It's not often that the far right makes me literally giddy with joy, but today is one of those days. Calling me a race baiter when you tweeted, "If that makes me a racist, so be it." I called you a terrorist, and then used the dictionary definition of that word to explain why you meet that definition. The headlines would read, "Femi accuses the Reform Party of supporting terrorists and wins in court." I said, I am giddy with joy. Motherfucker, your tweet said, "If that makes me racist, so be it." You then pled guilty to inciting racial hatred. It's not us that brought race into it. You did, Lucy. Have a great week, because I know I am.
Can someone give him his medication? Seriously? But nothing can compare to Narinder Kaur, who Lucy correctly dismissed like this. And then Narinder Kaur has criticised me, Lucy, for this interview. She has said, anyone who publicly supports and uses journalistic media to advocate burning women and children alive in their beds should be stripped of any entitlement to broadcast. Hang your head in shame, Dan.
Oh, she's lovely, isn't she?
I mean, can we just be clear? You never advocated burning women and children alive in their
Nobody. So where
beds.
she got that from? Again, she's twisted the narrative to suit her own agenda. It's Narinder, isn't it? She's the biggest race baiter on social media, has been for a long time. If she was a white person, fact, she would have gone to prison a long time ago, and I don't care what anybody says she would. She says some vile things. If you don't agree with her, she comes for you. And, and again, why do I care what she thinks?
Well, Narinder has proven that she is an evil force by revealing today that she has reported Lucy Connolly to the police because of that interview with me. Now, this was something she had threatened on Friday, writing, "Dan, seems you have put Lucy in a terrible situation. She may well be back in prison for what she's just said about me on your podcast." When an indignant Carol Malone questioned her, "Are you actually threatening to put her there?" Narinder replied, "Seems Carol doesn't know basic law. It wouldn't be up to me, Carol. I think that's up to the CPS. I mean, I know you all see me as some threat, but go back to bed." Sadly, this is all a sick game to Narinder, as she proved by laughing at this tasteless post on X from a troll comparing Lucy and her husband Raymond Connolly to Fred and Rose West, even though, as Stardust Cat reminded her, this was an image after they lost their son, you sick F. How friggin' low can you go? But she doesn't care. Narinder intends to keep on wasting the time of our already overstretched police, and it is so wrong.
Hello guys, nice little Saturday evening video. I've had some of the most worst racial abuse I've had. Well, actually I say the worst, it's always there, but a lot of it across all social media platforms, from Lucy Connolly fans, racists, and this video is just to say, you're not going to silence me, you're not going to scare me off, you have been reported to the police. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep shouting, I'm going to keep talking, I'm going to keep calling you out. You're never going to stop me. Ever. I'm not going away. I'm going to keep on, because I love how much I wind you all up. Oh, it's amazing. It just makes me laugh. And the fact that Lucy Connolly has come out of prison one day out and just yabbering on about me, hilarious.
Now, there is genuine horror about Narinder's actions today, with many on the right suggesting to either ignore her or fight back. Maya Tusi went for the latter. He posted on X, the Met Police should investigate Narinder for harassment. It's clear this is all a childish game to her. She posted, "You can be recalled to prison if you breach the conditions of your release. I'll laugh my head off if I'm the reason Lucy Connolly ends back in prison." But I can assure all the hard left nut jobs out there that Lucy had made the authorities aware of her interview with me, and there was absolutely no payment for it whatsoever. So pop goes your argument. Dr. Wolf argued in response, when do you intend to hand yourself in, Narinder? These tweets are inciting racial hatred. Time for custody. You have just switched your hatred to white people now following the MSM narrative, you sad grifter. Now, I have to say, I went and had a look through those historic posts of Narinder Kaur, and it really is quite something. Before she started on her left-wing grift, Narinder had posted, agree, I am happy to start a riot, but then the COVID police will accuse me of murder. India needs to bloody protect our women. Hope they riot till it happens. All I know is your sick Pakistani community seems to have a dirty habit in raping. In reply to Adil Ray, the hard-left GMB host, she said, there is no point going on about a one-off incident in Canada, G's or India. Let's talk about Pakistani paedophiles here in the UK. Well, what a load of useless shit that was then. You should have concentrated on the Pakistani paedophile gangs, mate. Hashtag just a hint. Once again, who gives a shit? The Pakistani men groomed little girls. I'll make whatever the fuck assumptions I like. This is the third Pakistani pedo gang. Third, and you say not to make assumptions. No, I don't need a reality check. The Pakistani pedos, though, do. Please do not tar all Asian men with the pedo brush. Say Muslim men, because they were Muslim, not Hindu, not Sikh, Muslim. Spreading bile? No, that's what your Muslim brothers are doing. The pedo ones. No, I said fourth Pakistani pedo gang court, didn't once say all Pakistani men. I am slightly chubby. I am most deaf a bitch. But I'm not a P-word. Laters. Whoa. So that's the real Narinder Kaur. Firstly, I'm sure you all agree, a lot of those posts are far, far more offensive than anything that Lucy Connolly ever said. I'm sure many of you, too, will agree with her point of view on the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs. But of course, now that she's on the left-wing grift train, that's not what she's saying in public anymore. So I would argue Lucy Connolly was right. If Narinder Kaur were a white woman posting like that, under Slippery Starmer's regime, she would have ended up in jail. But here's the thing. That is not the type of country any of us should want. And I note that the people who properly watched the interview with Lucy Connolly on Friday saw that she did not advocate for Ricky Jones, the Labour councillor, to go to jail too, because two wrongs do not make a right. I have to say, the free speech crisis in the UK is getting worse, though, and that is what we all should be so concerned about. As David Atherton explained, the citizen journalist who goes under the pseudonym Migrant Auditor went to an illegal migrant hotel and ate a bowl of chicken pasta. The Greater Manchester Police raided his home he shares with his disabled mother. 10 turned up, 5 in riot gear. He was arrested and taken into custody. Listen to Adam explain himself what happened. But first, the number one worst fruit for your waistline. Look, are you turning healthy fruits into highly unhealthy fruits without even realizing it? Fruit can be one of the healthiest things you can put into your body. But the majority of Americans are guilty of making this single mistake that can counteract all of the health benefits of fruit. Some fruits can help with occasional constipation, reduce bloating, and even help burn calories. Others can wreak havoc on your digestive system and energy levels. Now, I came across this viral presentation from world-renowned heart surgeon Dr. Stephen Gundry that showcases the 3 fruits to stop eating today. It was shocking. I had no idea. And after finding it out, I've stopped eating these too. I'm going to put a link for you all to watch it because I want you all to gain this information. I think it's truly important, actually. You can go watch it right now at thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. That's thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. I've also linked it in the description box below this video too, or if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, you can just click on the QR code on screen or hold up your phone, to the QR code. You know how it works. Oh, and by the way, eliminating these fruits could forever change the way we help increase energy levels, decrease brain fog, support digestion, and even lose weight. So make sure to click on the link below or go to thehealthyfat.com/outspoken to find out now. Dr. Gundry has lost 70 pounds himself using his research and has kept the weight off for over 20 years and counting. His digestive issues are gone. His health is fantastic. He feels younger today than he did in his 40s. His video has been watched by over 20 million people to date. You can watch and learn more about it at thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. Just click on the link in the description box below this video. But now, back to the show.
I was taken to a police station in Greater Manchester where I got a charge of burglary. So a lot of you guys don't know me personally, but I'm a clean as a whistle type of guy. I've never been in trouble with the law, never as much as a speeding fine to my name. Anyway, so we got to the custody desk and the charge against me was entering the Best Western Crester Court Hotel and getting a chicken pasta meal and not paying for it. So I am now on bail for burglary, for walking into a hotel, into a migrant hotel, getting some chicken pasta, not paying for it and leaving. So I just want to, this shows what the state will do to you. If you show what's happening in these migrant hotels, if you show them the money that is being funneled to these places, not only will they just try and have a go at you, they will actively send 8 police officers to your house in full riot gear to fully arrest me. So, as I said, I'm now on bail.
This is insane. And the world is watching. The UK is a free speech laughingstock, especially in America, where their main TV networks cannot understand that a man was arrested for simply saying he liked bacon.
It looks like freedom of speech. We covered this a little bit yesterday with a totally different story, but here's another one. Roll this.
Okay, we love bacon. Because I like bacon.
So the guy, a 23-year-old single father, arrested while protesting at a site of a proposed mosque. He just shouted, "I love bacon." Now, shout out to Don Keith for getting us this clip. They arrested this dude for saying, "Look, I love bacon too. You gonna come arrest me if I go to the UK?"
I guess so, probably. Neither of us should go to the UK and eat bacon. Good news for pigs everywhere, but I mean, this is tragic for all of the UK. Yeah. I mean, and I think the US should really take this as a warning sign. I mean, look, the UK no longer has free speech, judging by this situation.
Because they gave up their guns.
And recent events, they've lost it. It's gone. And the US needs to take note, because if we don't guard it, if we don't protect it, and, good on President Trump for the course corrections he has rapidly made in the United States over the past 6 months. But without those corrections, we can very easily wind up exactly where the UK is right now.
And Lucy Connolly's story is now being provided as a warning to other countries with woke authoritarian governments like Australia.
There are people who were guilty of offences, part of the grooming gang scandal, where thousands of girls across the country were raped or abused, trafficked. Some of them got lesser sentences than this woman for a online post that was taken down after a few hours. I mean, it is crazy. If you were saying this was going to happen 20 years ago, people would tell you you got having some sort of weird fever dream. Yep. But it is the reality. She's not alone. There was a bunch of people who got sentences, and very quickly the turnaround in the legal process from being charged to sentence
off to jail
was
with you.
Record time, and that was to silence dissent.
Well, it's not only about silencing dissent, because the silencing dissent is part of a broader project.
You see where Britain is now, and you see where Australia is going. The British establishment, the elite, if you want to call them that, I increasingly dislike that word, has a real serious distrust and, in fact, actually hatred, I think, for the British people. You know, they're terrified of the British people. They're terrified of what they think. They're terrified of what they stand for and what they represent. And they want to remake the country. And the same thing is essentially happening here. And they want to remake it in a way that is fundamentally better for Labour.
They absolutely do. But that is why we are fighting back. And I will keep fighting back against this absolute nonsense from the Hunter. I posted earlier, imagine seeing what's going on in our country and thinking, I know, I'm going to waste the time of our police to report a perfectly reasonable interview with Lucy Connolly to try and destroy her life and the life of her 13-year-old daughter once again. Narinder's just replied, so let's get this straight. You and your mate Lucy can talk nonsense about me, threaten legal action, say I should be in prison for no alleged crime that I've never been arrested, let alone charged with, but I'm expected to be silenced? You expect this brown woman to sit back and take it? Nah, never. I'm sick of the race baiting. We all are. Now, the Superstar panel. And I'm delighted to have three of the new breed of independent journalists broadcasting the truth to Brits with us today. Jess Gill is an independent journalist who publishes on Substack, X, TikTok and YouTube. Morgan WSI is also on X. She represents the Women's Safety Initiative for the Midlands. And Sydney Jones has become one of the most prominent independent reporters of this summer's patriotic uprising. Sydney, wow, what do you make of it when you see what's happening up and down the country? You see how the left are behaving. You have been at all of these protesters exposing the likes of Antifa. And then you see Narinder Kaur try and waste the police's time by getting Lucy Connolly locked up again.
It's not really too much of a shock. So I've also been organising the demos in Norwich. It's quite fun. On the 26th of July, it was our big protest in Norwich. We didn't know how many numbers we were going to get. We were expecting big numbers, but obviously Norwich, quite a left-wing place.
Yes.
In the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, we had a knock on our door for my boyfriend, James Harvey, who, of course, also does all of the protests. He's also a journalist, but he does really good activism, especially in Norwich. They arrested him for saying 5 days prior at another protest in Diss, he said, allegedly, foreign filth, referring to paedophiles as foreign filth, and they arrested him. He's now on bail. He can't go 200 metres within any premises of housing asylum seekers. He's also banned from the Bothorpe area as well. Oh no, Diss area, sorry. Another waste of police time.
And you think another attempt by the state to silence one of its biggest critics?
Yes, 100%. He's one of for 3 years, he's been one of the biggest activists in Norwich, and his voice is getting big. And, you know, in Diss, we had a victory. It's getting shut down. It's no longer housing asylum seekers. I don't know when it's not housing asylum seekers, but they have announced that the Home Office is not going to be using it anymore because of the protest, because of the backlash. They were going to, it's for housing families. It's been housing families since 2023, September. Me and James actually exposed this together. But since the protest, because they were going to turn it into an all-male asylum seeker premises, the people rose up. About 100, 200 people joined. They're not going to use it anymore. And I think that is why. I think that is exactly why James got arrested.
There is this constant desire to try and silence dissenting voices, and it is terrifying. Jess Gill, how on earth, though, could you imagine being a decent human being, watching Lucy Connolly leave prison after 380 days, be reunited with her 13-year-old daughter, and then thinking, I know, I'm going to spend the weekend when police up and down the country are completely overstretched, not just, by the way, because of the protests outside the migrant hotels, but because of events like the Notting Hill Carnival, which we'll come to later. and think, I know, I'm going to waste their time and try and get her locked up again.
Man, it honestly boils my blood to see this. When you consider the actual topic matter of why Lucy was in prison and also what's happening right now at this time, when you consider that last year, 3 girls were stabbed and murdered to death by Axel Rudikabana. At that time, no one knew who was responsible for it. And obviously, because we've had this culture so long of terrorists, look at the Manchester Arena bombing, there are so many examples of migrants in particular committing terrorist attacks, committing crimes against women and girls. And for Lucy Connolly to be outraged about that and to say something that may not be considered the nicest isn't surprising. You know, I don't think that she should have said it, of course, but it's completely understandable that she would have said it. This is Britain's biggest tragedy when you look at the migrant crime, when it comes to the terrorist attacks, when it comes to the grooming gangs, which is Britain's biggest shame, and now with the illegal immigrants in the hotels. It's understandable that everyone is obsessed about that, and you can see with the nation. And honestly, if you look at the way Femi or Narinder are acting, they're acting like mean girls in high school. It's ridiculous. You know, the snide smirk on their face. It honestly is so infuriating. But honestly, I'm kind of glad that they are like that, because I think it just exposes them to the average person how this side is. They are the extremists. They are the evil ones, and they are evil. Like, how could you not be evil when you're laughing at somebody who's been arrested because she was imprisoned because she was obsessed about the stabbing of 3 girls?
And it's the total confidence that they have that they won't be impacted because they are on the right side of the argument, the side of the argument that the deep state wants out there. So they feel totally safe to spread their bile. But Morgan WSO, what did you make of those old posts of Narinder Kaur? Because I would argue they were more vile than anything Lucy Connolly had said.
Absolutely. I believe those posts were absolutely disgusting. And I think the fact that Narinder has the audacity to come out now and say, and kind of, say that other people are committing these heinous crimes by posting what they post, knowing that she's got these posts still on her page, is absolutely insane. I mean, we need to look at it this way. Unfortunately, after the tragic death of Caroline Flack, we saw a Be Kind movement coming from the left. The left were completely in support of a Be Kind movement. And now we're seeing the left bully people and bully individuals because of something that they've posted, when really you don't know what's going on in their private life. So I think for them to do that is completely and utterly hypocritical.
Very good point. Very, very good point. And what I would just say again, because I think it's really important to stress this, unlike Narinder Kaur, I am not calling on her to go to jail. I think she should be allowed to have her absolutely vile free speech and say whatever she wants about various different groups or even me. But when she is going to go to such lengths to get others imprisoned, that is when I have a very, very serious issue. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.